often do you pay the ADHD tax? The hidden cost of ADHD and how to stop paying it. So, in this video, we're going to unpack what the ADHD tax is, like you don't already know, you probably do, and talk a bit about how to stop paying it. First, I want to say the ADHD tax happened every time we have to pay extra money for something because our ADHD flubbed something up. I don't even like saying flubbed up, but you know what I mean. So this could be having a parking ticket because you didn't see the sign. Another one that happened to me recently was missing a credit card payment that I thought I had scheduled and didn't. And so I had to pay extra penalty on that. And it probably hit my credit score. I've been too scared to look, honestly. And another one, this one's a story. I was this was an expensive one too. I was at the airport at my gate, legit at my gate. And I was so hyper focused that I didn't hear the Southwest Airlines attendant call for all three boarding groups multiple times. I also didn't hear them call my name to make sure I was getting on the flight. And it wasn't till 40 minutes later, I looked at my clock on my computer because I was in such deep hyper focus. I went, oh, they must have delayed my flight. So I went up to the gate agent and was like, hey, so what time did they move the flight to? And she's like, the one to Minneapolis? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, that one left 45 minutes ago. I legit missed my flight because I was in a hyper focus. So the ADHD tax there, oh my gosh, I think it ended up being like $250 because I had to pay for a Uber or Lyft to get to a hotel. I had to pay for a night in a hotel because I couldn't get out till the next day. I had to get back to the airport, which thankfully they had a free shuttle I figured out. So that was nice. But then I also had to rebook my flight. And so there was a change fee. And I had to pay for an extra day of parking back at where my car was in Minneapolis. The worst part, though, the biggest part of this ADHD tax is I missed my niece's dance competition. You can't get that one back. This ADHD tax is expensive and painful. And we pay it when we are not learning how to work with our ADHD, when we're not figuring out how to navigate effectively. Granted, I've got a lot of skills, but I wasn't using any of them in that moment. I didn't have an alarm set to remind me to go to the bathroom before getting ready for boarding my flight. I didn't update the time change on my computer, so I was thinking the time was different than it was. I wasn't doing the things I normally do in order to keep myself on track. And so I want to talk a little bit about how we can stop paying this tax. There's actually three different pieces that I want to talk about, kind of four, because the first piece involves a couple pieces. Number one, we need to figure out how to get stuff done with ADHD. We need to figure out how to organize ourselves, get our tasks organized so that we can actually follow through. We also need to figure out how to set our systems up so that we can actually do what we need to do. And whether that's every time you park your car, you double check and look, which is something I normally do. I legit didn't see this sign, and maybe it was just a city rule of Bloomington by the high school. But anyway, you have these systems in place that you create for this. Secondly, is building your ability to direct and sustain attention and improve your concentration and deal with distractions. In these moments, I was either hyper focused and I didn't have anything to interrupt it, which was necessary, or I was so distracted I did not notice that parking sign. I completely missed that I didn't pay that one credit card payment. Thankfully, I caught it within a few days, but there was still a fee and it was a bummer. So, making sure that you figure out how to direct and sustain your attention is essential. The third one is the biggie and kind of involves two parts. We need to figure out how to work with our underlying inner obstacles of ADHD. One piece of that is regulating our nervous system. When our nervous systems are more regulated, we're going to be able to catch these things more often. We're going to be grounded and centered and attending to, better able to focus, right, on the things that are going on around us. Part two of that is working with the inner wounds. These are wounds that we have gotten from being ADHD. that tell us that our brains are fundamentally wrong for how they naturally are in the world. And that is some deeper work. If you're wanting to do this deeper work, I have a program that covers all three of these pillars that are necessary for overcoming the inner and outer challenges of your ADHD. Because that ADHD tax left unchecked, I mean, think about it. Like I say ADHD tax, but one thing I know a lot of ADHDers get behind on doing their taxes. And then there's a ton of penalties, financial penalties for that. So when you think about the cost of not doing something to figure out how to work with your ADHD and overcome those inner obstacles, you're just going to keep incurring these expenses. So if you're like, I'm ready to stop paying this damn ADHD tax, you're invited to check out my program, Ascend, the ADHD Women's Mastery Program. It is an extensive program that is a fraction of the cost of what you pay over the course of a few years with the ADHD tax. And you get one-to-one coaching from me to help you work through all of this stuff alongside of a course that breaks all this down, small group sessions, and a ton more, including a somatic protocol to help with healing and recovering from complex trauma, as well as bonuses to help your ADHD business. So if you're like, yes, Jen, I'm in, there's a link in the description and I'd love for you to check it out. And if you're like, ooh, not quite ready, I'm okay with paying the ADHD tax for now, totally get it. You're welcome to hang out in my space. And I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button to make sure you catch the next video. See you there.